What's up, average dad fans? Welcome back to another video, and it's another leak slash goss slash rumours video. A couple of days ago I done one on the Honor Magic V5. Now it's time for a personal favourite. I ain't gonna lie, me and Vivo have quite a strong bond at this point. It's the Vivo X Fold 5. I have the release date, the price, the specs, and some confusing decisions from Vivo, which doesn't often happen. Let's go. So before we get into the release date and price and specifications, I just want to touch on the confusing decision making from Vivo. With a caveat that I guess it's not that confusing when you factor in global sales or Chinese sales of the Vivo X Fold 3 and X Fold 3 Pro. Because let's be honest, the X Fold 3 and X Fold 3 Pro were probably the best foldable phones of 2024, but even they were slightly confused with each other because the Pro variant was thicker and heavier than the thinner and lighter standard variant. And regarding the other specifications, the camera system was pretty much the only difference or big difference. And if you owned the X Fold 3 or X Fold 3 Pro, yes, the zoom lens was quite a bit better, but other than that, it was the same camera system. So what Vivo have decided to do, and I think this is the right thing to do ultimately, is just release one phone. The Vivo X Fold 5 will not come in a Pro or a standard, it will just be the Vivo X Fold 5. Now I explained yesterday that the X Fold 4 was never going to be a thing because in China, more often than not, they just don't use the number 4. The word itself sounds a lot like death in Chinese. That's the real reason, but it's basically considered an unlucky number. So now that Vivo have streamlined their foldables down to one variant, they can focus all their eggs in one basket. And this is where another couple of strange decisions have been made regarding the X Fold 5. First up, the chipset. So inside this large format foldable phone will be the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip. And I know, I say in every single video, if you've got an 8 Gen 1, 8 Gen 2, 8 Gen 3 chip, don't worry, you have enough power or more power than you're ever going to need. But when you're buying a brand new foldable phone in 2025, you kind of expect it to get the latest and greatest chipset, keeping in mind that the release date for the Vivo X Fold 5 is the very end of June going into the start of July, which puts it, 2 months away from the 8 Gen Elite 2, making the 8 Gen 3 chip not 1 year, but 2 years outdated. Again, you're going to get all the power, but I know the comments will be going crazy with people up in arms about the fact that it's essentially a 2-year-old chipset. And I get it. And then there's the cameras. As I mentioned, the Vivo X Fold 3 and X Fold 3 Pro Standard had just phenomenal cameras, particularly on the Pro. And the X Fold 5 will have the same cameras, taken from the X Fold 3 Pro. Looking at the leaked specifications, there's no difference. It's the same triple 50 megapixel setup you get in the X Fold 3 Pro with a 3x optical. It's the Sony IMX90 or it's some of the latest Sony sensors, but I would be expecting more from Vivo purely because the Vivo X200 Pro, the Vivo X200 Ultra have both been released between the X Fold 3 and the X Fold 5. And I talk about this all the time, I want to see flagship cameras placed in foldable phones because there is the space and physics to do it. Just make a bigger camera bump. The X200 Ultra shows you that we're okay with a bigger camera bump if we're getting the hardware to justify it. However, Vivo have opted for the triple camera setup that allows them to keep their phone incredibly light and incredibly thin. The Vivo will come in at about 4.2mm unfolded and around 9.6mm folded, making it thinner and lighter than the X Fold 3 Pro, but not quite as thin or light as the Oppo Find N5, which you all know is my favourite phone. So I will do a comparison. I will do many videos when the phone is released with the Oppo N5. But just on paper, the Oppo N5 has a better chipset, a bigger outer, a bigger inner screen, and then the Vivo has a bigger battery. Rumours are a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. I say rumours, it's basically confirmed. It's on all the databases, all the spec sheets. It's getting a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. So the battery is bigger on the Vivo compared to the N5. And in that triple camera setup, while it is still just lifted and shifted from last year's X Fold 3 Pro, it is a better triple camera setup than the N5. So battery and cameras, better on Vivo. Displays and chipset, better on Oppo. So as mentioned, a really strange decision when it comes to the chipset, because between the 8 Gen 3 and the 8 Elite chip, unless of course Vivo have tens of thousands just lying around a warehouse, the difference in price is basically negligible when you look at the BOM price, the bill of materials. Now the one thing that is not clear, but I am positive will happen, is a global release. The Vivo X Fold 3 Pro Global was released a few months after the Chinese variant. However, the Chinese X Fold 3 was already released by this point last year. I think it was released in like March or April. So I do believe that the global and China launch will coincide with each other. You are going to get a global variant. However, this global variant may just be India and Indonesia specific again. What does that mean? It means the price is going to be very high. Now, keeping in mind that the chipset on the X Fold 5 is the same as on the X Fold 3 Pro. The displays are the same on the X Fold 3 Pro and the X Fold 5. The cameras are the same. The only real difference that I can see on paper is a slightly bigger battery over the 5700 milliamp hour of the X Fold 3, which by the way is still massive. I am not sure how easily I will be able to recommend this device, because yes, it's getting slightly thinner and lighter. Is that worth spunking £1,100 to £1,400 on the new Chinese X Fold 5, or £1,700 if there is a global variant released for the X Fold 5? I'm not sure, because at the Average Dad Tech Store, at Wanda Mobile, at GizStop, you can probably pick up an X Fold 3 Pro for well under £1,000. And folks, I can promise you, an X Fold 3 Pro in 2025 still puts it in the top 3 foldable phones of 2025. So I just want to shout out Shane Craig. Shane Craig, you're doing awesome things, brother. I see you doing more content on my area, on phones that I cover. You've moved from a lot of Google Pixel stuff to Oppo, Xiaomi, Vivo material, and I love it. And shout out anyone else that has watched my content and shouted me out. More and more people are jumping on the Chinese phone bandwagon, and I love it. And while I'm still out here in Dubai, I am now getting recognised almost daily, which is slightly disconcerting. So if you do see me and want to say hi, yeah, I'm here. Say hi. I don't bite, contrary to what some people may think in the comments. I'm a nice guy. Honest. I'll be back soon with an unboxing and first impressions of the Motorola 60 Ultra. Until then,